Hello and welcome everybody to STEM Racing Poland. What is STEM Racing webinar? This is the first of our hopefully many webinars, and today we're joined by our special guest, Nelson from STEM Racing headquarters. Introduce yourself, say hi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nelson. I'm the Director of International Operations for STEM Racing, formerly known as F1 in Schools. And I help to bring new partners on board, new countries into our global challenge, making sure that new in-country coordinators can expand the operation globally, and also help with the hosting and planning of our biggest event, the STEM Racing World Finals.
Exciting stuff. So, do you remember getting Poland on board a couple of years ago and joining Poland to the big wide family of F1 in Schools and STEM Racing?
Of course, it's always a pleasure to receive a new country into the organization. I remember when Portugal was just joining, and this was close to 2008, and actually been introduced to what was previously F1 in School since 2005, if you can believe in it. I found the racing track and a CNC machine in an education event in Lisbon. Well, a colleague of mine did, and then she brought the equipment, and we are exploring it in the classroom without having a clue that that was a competition about to be implemented globally. But we then took a first Portuguese team, I think, to the 2009 World Finals in London. And that was the beginning of everything. So I went through all the stages since from being just a teacher that takes students into the competition, into a regional coordinator, a national coordinator, and then now I'm very happy to be helping the global implementation here in HQ.
Yeah, you're working behind the scenes now. All right, so I think we'll start off with the big title that this whole webinar is kind of based around, the big picture. What is STEM racing for any new students interested, for returning students who might be familiar with F1 in schools? What is STEM racing?
Well, STEM racing is a STEM challenge. It's all about designing, analyzing, making, testing, and then racing a miniature racing car. But it's also about understanding real life skills by creating your own team or simulating that you own a company where a group of students, from 3 to 6 students between 9 to 19, are going to simulate all of their job roles and all of the tasks that a real racing team needs to go through, from designing a car, 3D modeling it using professional software like Fusion 360, or analyzing it using industrial software like ANSYS to analyze the aerodynamic and the virtual performance of their car, to actually create a team identity where you're assuming a name for your team, you are creating a logo, you are creating your whole team identity, and understanding project management to manage your time, to manage your budget. And when we think about students as young as 11, 12, already understanding concepts of project management and marketing and design and how to work as a team, with the goal of conceiving a product that they will see reality in front of them. They will see it from the virtual world to the physical world, because it's not just about designing it using Fusion, but also using manufacturing techniques to actually build the car. And we're talking of a car that it's around between 170 and 250 mil, roughly, now with the new regs. But it's made with the use of 3D printing, but also CNC machining, because the students need to manufacture the car body and then assemble the car with different components until it's ready to race, while the engine is the same for every single team, is an air pressured canister. So, we want the students to understand that it's not about the engine, it's about the choices that they are making in terms of design, materials, manufacturing techniques, assembly, complying with rules and regulations, from technical to competition regulations. So technical, it's all about the do's and the don'ts in terms of dimensions. And then competition is all about the scorecards and where do you get the points using the scorecards for design and engineering, project management, marketing, verbal presentation, and even technical specifications or scrutineering. So like Formula One, we do implement a high standard, like it's to the millimeter. But we try to show our students that if you fail by a millimeter in a controlled environment, in an educational environment, yes, you will have a point penalty, but you will learn with it. And that consequence of learning and understanding how you can change and prevent a mistake by applying things like tolerances, it will make you stronger when one day you're facing the real world. Because imagine, if you failed in your car by a millimeter, you will have a point penalty and you will have a little bit of a heartbreak in terms of, oh, I failed that regulation. But if you fail by a millimeter in the real world, if you are working for Formula One or you're working for one of the F1 teams, and you fail building your front wing for a real car by 1 millimeter, that could be thousands of pounds in damage, or making sure that the car will not be available to race during the race weekend, and the consequences of that. So, you know, our challenge really shows the students real life skills. And in terms of why do so many teachers support us? Because it's an excellent way to apply all the theoretical knowledge that you get from the classroom into something practical. And we know how difficult it is sometimes to explain the theory without having a practical way to apply it. With STEM racing, we can have a way to just go, right, this is how the maths is making sense. This is how the physics is making sense. This is how I should communicate. This is how I should work as a team. And it all will make sense to the ultimate goal of winning or doing well in an event, in a STEM racing event.
Yeah, sounds good. Lots of very practical and useful skills. At the few events I've been at and the few students and participants I have talked to, they seem so much more mature and they seem to know so many more skills than I did when I was their age. I was not a project manager of any sorts when I was, at school.
No, I feel the same. I wish that when I was going through my journey in school, I had a way to just see things being applied in such a practical way. All the theory that was being taught, just this is how you see it being applied. So it's a really good tool for teachers to provide to the students. I mean, ultimately, we need to understand that it's not the teacher having to do anything. The teacher is there to guide the students in when they struggle, when they are undecisive in terms of which route to take. The mentor always needs to be there, but it's about the students and the students deciding how should my logo look like? What's the design of my car? How much testing should I do with my car? Do I need different materials? How will I contact sponsors? Do I just send an email or actually go there and knock on the door and explain to them that we're just not playing with a little toy, that this can actually help us decide on a career choice? So, it's a tool super interesting for teachers, but also to students to see how that knowledge all applies into real life.
So if you had to summarize, what skills do you think students do get out of it? Because obviously it's such a wide project. There's the designing, the engineering, and the manufacturing part of things. There's the sponsorship, enterprise, brand identity side of things. In the various roles that a team of up to 6 can have, what skills does this entire team kind of learn doing this project?
Well, most importantly, I think it's teamwork, because it's not about individual work. You're working as a team, and if you one day go and work with a company, You're gonna know how to work as a team, working with multiple departments, and how everything interconnects, like a real Formula One team, like any other entity. And this really happens globally in terms of the students discovering what exactly excites them in terms of, right, okay, I'm in this team, I'm with a team of another 5 friends. I'm going to be the team leader. Then I have my manufacturer engineer, I have my designer, I have my project manager. Every single student is taking a job role. But you know what happens, Victor, is that they realize by watching another colleague, oh, I really like what he's doing. He's working with CAD design and virtual analysis, and I'm here. I was starting by designing my website, but I really like what he's doing. So, you know, that moment of realization, that's probably what I want to do for the rest of my life. And he's seeing it in a practical way. That impact, we can't put a cost into it, because literally that moment of helping someone to decide this is what I want to do for the rest of my life is this, it's precious. And while understanding that is not about the individual work, it's not about, because if a team rides the wave on the back of just one student, they're not going to be able to reach their objectives, or they're going to struggle to reach their objectives. But when a team is really a team and they're all dividing their work to conquer one objective, they will go really far. And in the STEM racing journey, yes, you can achieve success in your first go, but normally what happens is you join the competition, you go through, if you have a competition season in your country or not, but you go and you experiment and you trial yourself through the judging categories or the racetrack. You see how your car has performed against other teams, you hear the feedback of the judges, and if you did not reach your objectives, you're going to come back, and you're going to come back stronger, correcting small mistakes that you have made, or improving on your work from the judges' feedback, and you're gonna want to come back further for another season of the competition, where hopefully you will reach your objectives. And what are your objectives? What should an objective for the competitor be? Of course, knowing that you have school events, regional events, national events, and world finals. Everyone wants to go into the world finals and win it. That is the main goal for lots and lots of teams. But ultimately, just by participating and accepting this challenge that will take a considerable number of hours to it all depends on how much energy and time the students want to put into their work. But ultimately, they really get passionate about this, and they will not be happy by designing just one car. They will want to design another car and compare one with the other, and then test it virtually and physically. If they get one sponsor, they will want more. They will want to engage more sponsors and say, can we get a bigger sponsor? And then work with them on the return of investment in terms of visibility, understanding all of those concepts. So they will want to show their capability, regardless of which country they are from. We make no distinction in terms of public, private schools. We don't care about politics. We don't care about religion. We care about the students having fun in the project, regardless of where they are in the world. And that's one of the brilliant things of the World Finals. Once you're there, you're competing against a track. You're competing, you're having fun, you're joining the STEM racing family, you're making friends from all around the world, but you're ultimately wanting to defeat the track, making the fastest car possible and gaining the more number of points possible to go high in the rankings, because you could win different awards. You could have the best engineering award, you could have best identity, fastest car, best project management strategy, whatever you're going to excel in your team. So yeah, we are here to praise and recognize the achievements of the teams when they come into our events. but the competition is changing the students' lives just by them entering it. And again, I cannot keep highlighting this. It's the real life skills. It's understanding how difficult real life is and that you need to be prepared for it. And ultimately, the dream of working to an F1 team is there to every single competitor. But we also need to recognize that the industry in each of the countries is going to benefit from this talent.
Yeah.
Because we are discovering talent in Poland, in the United Kingdom, in any other country. And then God knows how desperate the industry is for more engineers, for more project managers, for more designers, and especially really good ones.
Yeah, it's a excellent way to develop, but also eventually show off your skills, especially in the development and professional class. There's a very real skills you can put down on your CV and have evidence that you have done
Of
all of these
course.
things.
Of course, and we are delighted to say that Williams, the F1 team, is back with the Williams Academy. And the whole purpose of the Williams Academy is to make sure that they can track talent. And if they can see what our students are doing from a very early stage, and I mean, the World Finals is kind of the ending of the STEM racing journey, but it's almost midway in their school journey. They still need to go into university, they still need to choose a career, but why wouldn't they be able to go and work for Williams if they're really good in specific areas? So they do a really good process of interviewing students in the World Finals and inviting some of them to have an opportunity to one day have a work experience in Williams. So I just wish that more companies, not only in Poland and in other parts of the world, would look into our students with I really want to know what these guys are doing by the end of their STEM racing journey, because we know that they're really good. So we're going to be here to offering them an opportunity for their first work experience when they're ready to do so.
And yeah, it's obviously not just all related to F1. You do get a lot of different skills by participating in this, but it wasn't just Williams who know who STEM racing and F1 in schools are, right? I hear a lot about all the teams and all the drivers know who you are.
Of course, all the F1 teams knows about STEM racing previously. F1 schools, we've been around for more than 20 years. And it's important to explain that, yes, we've just been rebranded because we needed our own unique identity. Some of our students ask, okay, why are you now STEM racing supported by Formula One instead of just F1 in schools? But ultimately, F1 is getting so big and everyone knows F1, but we were always a non-for-profit entity out of the United Kingdom delivering this wonderful education program worldwide. We do not work directly with F1 in their offices. And sometimes there was a little bit of confusion, and F1 was always there to support us, but we are a non-for-profit organization expert in education programs. We have done 4x4 in schools in the past. We have collaborated with subs in schools or multiple other programs. But yeah, STEM is in our core, and we want to make sure that more and more students have this opportunity to join.
So we've obviously touched upon what STEM racing is, what the students can get out of it, opportunities participating in this can kind of show you. But if any students what would you tell to any teachers listening in on this, or students who are trying to sell it to their teachers and convince their teachers to, because obviously you do need an adult or teacher kind of being willing to take on the responsibility. So what would you tell them?
I mean, ultimately, some teachers may be a little bit fearful because they think, oh, this is going to represent many, many more hours on top of my already busy schedule. It's a challenge for students. Mostly around the world, it's been an extracurriculum project. It's when the classroom, the classes on the day end, that the students get together in a STEM racing club and that they work together and they develop their work. The teachers, again, need to be there to guide them, to mentor them, to make sure that the connection with everything that it's explained in the classroom sees a practical application in our project. Again, maths can easily be made a connection, physics to communication, a foreign language, like it is in many, many other countries, English, a way to apply the English and learn a little bit more the English, because in the World Finals, all the students have to deliver a verbal presentation in English and speak with all the judges in English. I know in the UK, of course, English is native language, but for many, many countries, is not. And it's an opportunity for you to develop your skills speaking another language. And, you know, again, I always say this to the teachers, just be there to support them. So when they are unsure in terms of, am I doing anything wrong? You don't need to be an expert in CAD. You don't need to be an expert in physics, aerodynamics, or project management. We have resources that will help the students 3D model the car, resources from Autodesk, our partner, that provides free software to every single school that wants to do STEM racing. The teacher just needs to validate the licenses for his students. Same thing with the ANSYS software. It's also free for the students. PMI, the Project Management Institute, provides a very detailed manual in terms of how you should look into project management in these early ages and learning all those fundamental principles. But then at the end, it's up to the teams, to the students to go, I want to learn more about this area. Go and engage with the industry. Go and speak with an expert. Go and speak with a university, a local university. God knows universities are super keen to help because they're keen for them to go and pursue their education in the university. So, you know, if you want to learn more about a manufacturing technique, you can go into a university that will have that type of degree, and the teachers will be delighted to help the team. So many skills, communication. I mean, ultimately, it's the one that I always see flourishing in the students, how they can communicate. From seeing very shy students not being able to do a public presentation, they become fearless and stop being afraid of public speaking, and they will speak gladly to not only face the group of scary judges, they're only there to assess your work, but they will really make them a different kind of professional. So when they go and work to the industry, they won't be afraid of communicating with a client, with a group of partners, with a group of sponsors, etc. You know, that those type of skills, sometimes you don't realize you have them until you actually have a chance to apply them. So, you know, if I had ever have a chance to say to a teacher, how is your students going to benefit from entering the competition? It's going to give them a chance to try something different, something new, working as a team, exploring all these different areas. And, you know, I think what makes our event special is that ability to face their fears, go in facing the judges, explain to them all of their work in terms of engineering, explaining to a group of judges why did they reach out to those sponsors and what is return of investment, and sponsoring tables, etc. How have you managed to project manage your work, learning concepts like stakeholders? You know, we would be surprised how many students don't know how to use a Gantt chart to manage your time and to make your project management easier. And, you know, there's resources to help the teachers on that. But definitely, it's not the teacher that needs to make everything. It just needs to be there to guide the students in this journey. And wherever this journey is going to take the students, we may have students that will join the competition, participate 1 year, and want to do something else. Fair enough. But we're going to have some students that will want to completely get immersed into the competition and participate into different cycles until they reach their objectives. You know, if that is working for F1 or for NASA or for any other company, great. We're just happy that we have a tool that it's motivating them.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's just like a extracurricular like any other for most teachers. They just need to be there and help the students when they need to. So we have a question in the chat, which I'll just clarify quickly. I think it's saying something along the lines of, what does the school have to do to let them participate? If you go into stemracing.pl, stemracing.pl, there's the Zgłaszam zespół button, and you can just sign up there. Just fill out the details. You just need an email of a representative and whatnot. You have to agree to a registration fee of 120 zloty for the full team of 6 people. So 20 zloty per person, which not too bad, I'd say. But yeah, just go to the website and that'll be clarified there. We have some other questions in the chat. I'm guessing this is somebody who's participated before, saying, are there any significant changes coming to the new regulations, or I'm guessing in this year's regulations, were there any technical regulations specifically for dev class? Were there any significant changes? There was the Halo recently, but
I mean, I can only speak to what's coming to World Finals, and we always try to give a couple of curveballs to make the regulations exciting, but we also need to create stability. So I don't think we're going to make drastic changes for 2025. I think the regulations are in a good state. There's a couple of loopholes that we need to close and make things more clear to the teams. But yeah, I'm not expecting anything radical to change. It's going to be stable in terms of what changes are coming. So don't expect massive changes. And let me just say, in terms of registrations is similar all around the world. Where we are lucky enough to have an in-country coordinator, like the structure that we have in Poland, that you guys are doing a brilliant job. The function of the coordinator is to assist the teams in their season. So, if a group of students wants to register for the competition, the teachers and the students will register, and then the local structure will support you in terms of what are the next steps, how to access software, where they're going to be able to compete, clarify any questions that you may have. But that's very similar globally.
Yeah, I just want to say, if people do have any questions, first of all, go to stemracing.pl, and there will be a lot of the questions already answered. And if you have anything further, at the very bottom of that site is just a form you can fill out, and the email will go to me, and I will try my best to answer all your questions. So don't worry about that.
To the question of will winners of the 2025 STEM Racing Poland be qualified for 2026? Of course, the local coordinator will explain how this works. Normally, a national final will give you access to the next World Finals. The next World Finals is actually in 2025, and in a matter of days, we are hoping to confirm where the next World Finals is going to be. Well, hopefully will be around between September and October. That's already a big clue, but we just need to sign all the contracts before we can publicly announce where the next World Finals is going to be. But in terms of age limit, it's important to say that you need to be 19 in the year that you compete in the World Finals event. So yeah, there's a bit of restriction there, but from 9 to 19, that's the core base of ages of the competition.
Yeah, to clarify on the Polish front, our finals for 2025 will qualify you. The national Polish finals in 2025 will qualify for the 2026 World Finals, since our finals are hosted in September, and the World Finals are also hosted around September. So we need to give the teams some time to prepare. So yeah, you'd need to be 19. Still need to be 19 the following year to make sure you can participate in the World Finals. So I had a question on the form, the sign-up form. Somebody asked, the most by teams. This would be in dev class specifically, I guess.
Look, I don't like to say they are mistakes.
Learning experience.
Because everyone needs experience. And you can always do better to try and reach KPIs in a scorecard, because the scorecards are from 1 or 0 to 20 points. So you only need to look at the high KPIs and try and match everything that you have on the top KPIs to reach those points. Sometimes a mistake happens when you are a little bit unprepared for it. And if we look at the technical side of the car, you need to be prepared for it. So when you design it in Fusion 360 and you are seeing virtually all your car perfect in terms of regulations, etc., when you manufacture it, it's not exactly the same thing as it is in virtual, because you are using equipment. That equipment needs to be calibrated, and you need to double check every single dimension after a part is 3D printed or after your car body is CNC machined, because millimeters can be added with 3D printing because it easily deforms, or you can easily lose millimeters if the CNC machine that you're using is not properly calibrated. Or sometimes all of a sudden you have additional millimeters if you're doing a lot of layers with the paint when painting your car. Ultimately my advice is apply tolerances and check your work. Get a vernier caliper, print the regulations, get a good scale for you to check the weight of your car. There's some gauges that you can download from the STEM Racing website, and that is for a visual check of the dimensions of your car, but always double check with professional equipment. It doesn't need to be too expensive. Vernier caliper, a good one, make sure it's calibrated, get a small height gauge, get a couple of rulers, and just check that the dimensions are there. Because ultimately, if you go to the limit of a dimension to its minimum of its maximum, you are risking to fail. But if you are in between those dimensions, your risk of failing is going to decrease. So, and students will learn with this. They will learn with their failures. But it's more, for me, what I'm more interested in is in what they learn with it. Okay? Apply tolerances on the technical bit. Research on the rest of your work. If you don't know the best way to proceed with something, speak with an expert. Speak with someone that knows. If you want to know more about the design, speak with a designer. If you want to know more about engineering, go and speak with an engineer. They will listen to you and they will share their experience. So yeah, don't miss out on that opportunity just because you're shy and you don't want to go and ask someone else. Do, because that's how you learn.
It's true, yeah. All the best performing teams I've been always in all their portfolios and whatnot, they mention how they reached out to people, to universities, to experts, and got other advice to help out. Everybody's often very willing to do all of these things. It's a fun project, and they're very just willing to help people out.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, exactly. We have a question. When will it be possible to download wheels and other elements? Because they're not on the website. They will be on the official headquarters STEM Racing website, not on the Poland one. So instead of stemracing.pl, it'll be stemracing.com, is it?
Stemracing.com. I mean,
There we go.
ultimately, for a development class, you're applying development class in
Yep.
Poland. Teams need to use standard wheels and standard axles. So that is, development class creates a level playing field in terms of the complexity of the design. You focus on the design, but every single wheel and axle guides are the same. So if it's not available on the website, I can share with you, Victor, and you can make available on the Polish website just the standard 3D part. So then the students can, when they are designing their cars, they can just make sure that they add that part, or they can just design it from scratch, just making sure that it complies with the dimensions. But yeah, we can make that available for STEM Racing Poland.
Yeah, in the regulations, I think it does mention to refer to the global STEM Racing website, but we'll make sure the teams get resources to it.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be wrapping up soon. A final question would be, so you've kind of touched upon a bit of general advice for the teams to obviously double check their work, to um, stay within their limits pretty comfortably. What piece of advice would you give to first time like participants, to teams who have just entered? They might be a bit scared. All these teams around them kind of have been participating a year or two. What advice would you have for their first competition and their first time?
This is a very simple one. Read the rules and regulations. Okay. And when you thought you have read the rules and regulations, read them again. Because everything is in the rules and regulations. You want to know where the points are coming from, it's in the scorecards. Where are the scorecards? In the competition regulations. You want to know how to make a legal car, you need to read the technical regulations and then make sure that you are between the minimum and the maximum. You want to know how to understand the competition and on the do's and don'ts, it's in the regulations. Because sometimes it's so easy not to read them in detail or just quickly just have a quick glimpse of the regulation, then you will have questions and you will not be properly prepared. So again, read the rules and regulations and read them once, 2 times, 3 times until you're comfortable with it. And then, if you have questions about it, reach out to STEM Racing Poland. And if it needs to escalate to STEM Racing HQ, we'll be more than glad to help out the team with any questions that you may have. But normally those responses are in the rules and regulations.
It's good advice. It is true that everything they need to do is in the rules and regulations. All right, I think.
And let's not forget, there's so many resources out there. If you go to YouTube and you search, of course, we have just rebranded, so you're still going to have to search for content related with F1 in schools. But the only thing you need to put is marketing on F1 in schools, or tips for the portfolios, or how to design a car. And there's so many resources available from our sponsors to teams that wanted to share their experience. So I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find lots of teams sharing their experience, sharing their knowledge, because again, it just becomes a STEM racing family. The students that participate, when they finish their journey, they want to come back as judges and continue to help us, or mentors to new teams. That is my challenge to every single student that competes. You go through your journey, and then when it finishes, because you've reached the age limit and you competed a couple of times, come back and help us to reach more students, more teams, by mentoring, by helping us to judge in our STEM racing events.
Can confirm we will be looking for judges for national finals, so that'll be helpful. But the sense of community and family, the STEM racing family you mentioned, is so visible. You go to any event and you see all of these students interacting with one another because they're there for the same reasons. They're here for the same competition. They've all spent the past few months of their lives doing very similar activities, of going through the same process. So they often are very willing to help one another, talk about it to each other. If you see another team do something very well, you can ask them, and they'll always be very happy and proud to kind of describe what they did and the process through. So the community is definitely there if you look for it.
And ultimately, for me, to end our conversation, where can STEM racing take you? And this is to the competitor. Where can a STEM racing, formerly F1 schools, take you? It can take you to wherever your dream takes you. It could be to work for an F1 team. Then we have dozens of stories of alumni working now in F1 teams, and they've gone through the ropes. They've gone through regionals, nationals, and world finals. Maybe some of them winning the event, some of them didn't, but that did not define that capability, that capability in being successful in an F1 team. Or if that may take you to putting that you have participated in this program in your curriculum And that hopefully will open the door to a company to give you an opportunity because you know a little bit of everything from teamwork to project management to communication to marketing to physics. Trust me, they will be impressed because you can master all of those skills. But it's up to you to define your goal. I mean, no one is going to make you build a car. You need to have that passion to build the car and to build the portfolios and to rock up into an event. And it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging to get to the event and to spend a few hours designing your cars and looking for sponsors, etc. But I can leave one guarantee to every single student. It will change your lives. It will change your lives in a positive way. It will make you stronger. And then hopefully one day you will look back and say, yeah, it was a positive experience to participate in STEM racing.
That's a nice point to end it on. It's true. Everybody I've talked to only speak positively of their experience and their time in it, the competition. But I think this will be the end of it. If you're either watching now and you have a final question, or if you're watching the video as I upload this afterwards, if you have any more questions, you can either email hello@stemracing.pl, or you can go to the STEM Racing PL website, and at the very bottom there's a form you can fill out, and any emails, any questions will go to me. But apart from that, thank you for your time, Nelson. I hope this was fun for you and a very educative.
Oh, it's always fun. And I only ask, I want to see really strong teams rocking up into your national and then representing Poland in our biggest event, because we had teams from Poland in the past. They need to come back. They need to show the world how good the teams are in Poland. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see new generations of teams representing your country.
I'll be supporting that idea there, that claim. All right, thank you for your time.
Okay.
And
no problem.
Thank you everybody for tuning in.
All right. See you everyone.